Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Jupiter Day. I am Shara Prophet, the founder of Open Door Hypnosis and the Be Magic School. Today, we're going to be talking about how affirmations affect your brain. And we're mainly going to be talking about the law of repetition and the importance of using repetition when you are trying to form a new behavior pattern, if you're trying to change your mindset in any type of way. I'm going to break it down for you all so that you can have a better understanding of how all of this stuff works, okay? So just give me a second to make sure that you guys are seeing this live and it's not just coming to me, because that's what happens. And that's what's happening now. Okay. All righty. All right, let's roll. We are good to go. So as you come into the room, please do go ahead and share this video with your network. You can tag people as you come in. This is going to be a really, really good, robust one. So you might want to grab a pen and pad and write some stuff down. All right. Okay, so basically the law of repetition, and for anybody who doesn't know, I'm Shara Prophet. I am the founder of Open Door Hypnosis and the Be Magic School. I am certified in clinical hypnotherapy. I am a mystic and a mentalist, meaning I utilize the power of my mental magic and my own personal energy to shape reality the way I want it shaped in my life. And I teach other people how to do the same thing. I am a instructor as well as a one-on-one coach. So I do one-on-one sessions. I do hypnotherapy coaching sessions with people to help them overcome their challenges and reach their goals. All right, so today we're going to talk about the law of repetition specifically. I do have some notes here, so if you see me looking away from the camera, that's what I'm doing to help me stay on track so we're not here forever. So the law of repetition is one of the 5 laws of suggestibility. Now, suggestibility is how we take in information. It is how you understand the world around you, how you take in suggestions. Are you more susceptible to suggestions, or does it take a little bit longer for you to receive a suggestion and absorb it into your mind to where you are accepting it as truth? All right. Is it going all the way down into your subconscious? So suggestibility basically measures how susceptible you are to new information. Okay. And this means that somebody's suggestibility may be very literal, meaning you take in information directly. Somebody else's suggestibility could be very inferred. They take in information through the inference. They can read between the lines very well. And then there's another subset of suggestibility called somnambulist. I'm not going to go deep into all 3 types of suggestibilities right now. If you want to know more about that, you can get that information for free on my website, bemagicschool.org, and just sign up for the free 3-day hypnosis masterclass, okay? So the somnambulist is able to pick up on both the infer and literal suggestions. So the more that you accept a suggestion as truth, the more it starts to fit into your belief system, and then you start to have behaviors that kind of form around those belief systems. And this is true for everything in your life. This is how you formed who you are, your behavior patterns. This is your personality. This is everything, your belief system, the way you think, and all of this stuff, how you process information and how you show up in the world. Okay. That impacts all of that. So the law of repetition works with suggestibility. because the more we hear a suggestion repeated, the more our minds start to believe it, right? And we start to make it real, it becomes reality in our 3D world. So yesterday I posted how I had a look, I get fired up, y'all. I get fired up. So just, sometimes my posts, I know they're like, where that's coming from? But I get fired up about certain things. I'm very much so an advocate for human rights, everybody's rights, and there's certain social issues that get me a little fired up. Okay. So yesterday I made a post about how I am just so outdone, so tired with the old narrative that Black people have a crabs in a barrel mentality, right? And why do we keep saying that? We keep saying that because we've heard it so much. How many times have you heard that more so than Black people stick together and we help each other out, right? Well, it has been my experience in my entire lifetime. It has been my experience. And I'm around a lot of Black people. Okay. My family is blackity, black, 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 and big. I got blackity, black, black, black friends, clients, and customers and students. Okay. I have friends of all races, but I have been around Black folk the majority of my life. And all I have seen, with the exception of a couple, right? All I have seen is us show up for each other and support each other and love each other and raise each other up and promote each other, So I don't have that experience. So when I hear that narrative, it really is like, that's not my reality. That's not true for me. But so many people say it, and we've said it over and over and over again, and we've heard it over and over and over again, right? To now, even if you don't have real evidence to prove that that's the truth, because you've heard it so much, it has become a part of your loop. It's become a part of your narrative. The suggestion has been implanted into your subconscious mind as a belief, even though you may not have that much evidence to back it up. Okay. So now we're just firing off stuff because we've heard it so many times. It is now a belief system and is the way that we kind of engage and we're able to just, maybe get into a conversation with somebody because, oh, well, the whole world is thinking this way. So let me just jump in and be in agreement with it. All right. So when we hear things over and over and over again, we call that the law of repetition. Okay. So it works in our favor and it can also work against us. So the way it could work for you, okay, is if you keep telling yourself over and over again that I'm confident and everything that I can do whatever I want to do and I'll be successful at it, right? So if you continue to say this over time, what's going to happen is that your mind starts to accept the idea. And then the next thing you start to actually feel more confident. You start to believe anything I touch is going to be successful, right? Even if it's not successful the first round, I know eventually it's going to become successful because you keep saying this to yourself every day, all throughout the day. All right. Now, there's some other laws of suggestibility because remember, there are 5 laws of suggestibility, and we learn and operate within these laws in the hypnotherapy community. Okay. So if you've never heard of these laws before, that's the reason why, is because we use this as hypnotherapists when we're working with clients and when we're teaching clients and students. Okay. So the other 5 laws that I will talk about, not today, but in later videos, the other 4 laws is the law of dominance, the law of reverse action, and the law of association, and finally, the law of imagination. So all of these laws together explain how the mind can be influenced and how we can use these understandings to help shape our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors. Okay. Hopefully for the better. But don't forget, it can go both ways, okay? Because there are people in the world that they understand this information. Everybody does not understand it because everybody does not give themselves time to study, right? You have to go study this stuff and not only just read it in a book, but practice it over and over again. You have to practice the law of repetition in order for this stuff to really sink in and for you to understand it on a cellular level, okay? So I encourage everybody to find some place where you can go study this work, okay? You can read it in a book, but when you sit in a classroom with other people, or you have someone like myself who's been doing this work for quite some time, and I am an avid student of it. I'm continuously learning as I write and as I create new things, right? Because I'm practicing the law of repetition, right? I'm repetitive with this stuff. I'm always talking, I'm always teaching. And when I teach it, I am learning something new, a new synapse, pops up, and I'm learning something new. We're going to talk about synapses today because we're going to also talk about how these particular laws affect the physical human brain. All right. So the law of repetition is a simple idea that helps explain how we build new habits and change the way we think. And it states that the more we do something or think in a certain way, the more it becomes a natural part of us. So it's just like practicing a sport or a musical instrument, right? You are working the brain, okay? You're working the muscles, and you have to keep repeating those actions or that thought over and over and over again until eventually it becomes automatic, and eventually it will become automatic. I always tell the story of, how I used to hate like working out, and I used to hate to go to the gym. But right when I started hypnotherapy school and I started studying this stuff, I was also doing a really intense personal training program. I had a wonderful personal trainer, wonderful fitness mindset coach named Khan Moshiri. So Khan, if you ever see this, much love to you, shout out to you. And I was doing his program at the same time I was learning about all of this stuff. And I was in school, like really practicing this stuff and learning it. And I went from hating going to the gym, hating getting on the treadmill. Like I couldn't run for nothing. I could not run for anything. And the first day I worked out with Khan, I cried and I threw up all over the place. Okay. But eventually, I started running. And then I was like sprinting at a 9 speed for 45 seconds straight. And then I could get on that treadmill and eventually I could run for a whole hour. Right. I wasn't running at a 9 speed for a whole hour, but I was sprinting for 60 seconds, and then I'd calm down and I'd just jog and run. But I would be able to do that back and forth for an entire hour. I went from barely being able to jog to now all of a sudden being able to run on a treadmill and go run on a trail and run up a hill. Okay. And how did that happen? That happened because of the law of repetition. So not only was I physically being trained to do this. I had to do this. I paid this man thousands of dollars. So and I didn't have no job. I don't know how I got that money together, but every month I was paying him $500 to train me. That money just came out of nowhere, right? And it didn't come out of nowhere. I was manifesting it. But not only was I doing that, the physical training, I was also doing the mental side. Okay. So I was hypnotizing myself every day to become more motivated and to get into a space where I had to work out every day, right? I just came from working out. So I have to move my body every single day. If I skip a day or two, it's like I can feel my mood shifting. It gets a little crazy. So I actually have to move my body for at least an hour every single day. All right. So eventually it becomes a habit, and it also becomes an addiction. The same thing with meditation and my spiritual practice. I have been practicing it so much that I have to do it. I have to do it. It's like I have to take a shower every day, or I have to drink some water every day. You know what I mean? So the more you practice this stuff on a consistent and intentional basis, eventually it becomes an automatic behavior. And that is what we want to do. We already have automatic behaviors that may not be serving us, that may not be, for our best interest. It may not be healthy for us, but you can change those behaviors. You can do it. Okay. You just need the right tools, and you need to understand how your brain processes this information and how these tools can actually work. Okay. So when you want to develop a new habit or change your mindset, you practice repetition every single day, because that's very, very important. And our brains like to stick with what it knows. I'll say that again. The brain likes to stick with what it knows. Okay. So when you change your habits or your thoughts, it can be tough at first, because right now your brain just knows, I like to, sleep an extra 10 minutes in the bed, right? Where that might be making you late for work every day. You being late for work every day could, you know, um, wreak havoc on your life. You might lose your job, and you make, $200,000 a year, and you live like you make $200,000 a year, right? So you want to say, listen, I got to shift my behavior because I don't want to lose my job. Okay. So if you're trying to get up a little bit earlier every day, and that might work out for you for a week or two, but then you find that you're falling back into the same pattern, it is because there's a subconscious program there that's used to you waking up 10 minutes later. It's used to you being late for work every day, even though it's uncomfortable, even though it's not healthy, even though it's not going to be conducive to your lifestyle. That is your program. So in order to change the program, you have to do something deeper than just the physical output. Okay. A lot of people want to go first to the physical output. They don't go internally and shift the program. They don't go in and do any type of adjustment to the magnet that magnetizes the current behavior pattern that is not serving you. Okay. So one of the ways to do that is to practice mentally. Okay, whether you do that through affirmations, or you're writing it down at night before you go to bed. Like I cannot wait to wake up at 6:45 tomorrow morning, where before you were waking up at 7, which was causing a lot of problems and rushing and things like that. Okay, so maybe you're doing it that way. Now, if you really want to amp it up, you will not only do it that way, and with the physical component, meaning setting your alarm. If you want to wake up at 6:45 a.m., you set the alarm for 6:30, and then you set it again for 6:40, and then for 6:45. Okay, that's the physical output. And then actually getting up at that time and maybe going and jumping straight in the shower. You don't make any other pit stops. You go straight to the shower. You don't pick up your phone. You don't do any of that. Okay. That's the physical output of repetition. Now, the only thing about that is that that will last for a while, but if you haven't dealt with the internal program that says, nah, I like getting up at 7. We've been getting up at 7 all this time. What is the big deal? We're used to being running late. We're used to having our adrenaline rush and our cortisol levels shooting high up through the roof as we try to run out of the house half dressed to make it to work by 8, when we knew we should have left out of the house at 7 instead of getting up at 7. Okay. You're already programmed to operate in that chaos. Now, if you want to deepen the deprogramming and then the reprogramming, then you go in a little bit deeper and you find out, why am I okay with this? Like, what is this pattern? Where did this pattern come from? When did it start? Okay. That's when you go in and you do the deeper level work. That's what they call shadow work. Okay, but we're not going to go too deep into that today. Right now, I'm giving you all some basic level things that you can start implementing now, all right, to start to see some shifts take place. But I also want you to remember that this is surface, okay? This is surface stuff. If this has been a pattern in your life for a while, you need to find out the root cause of it. And that's when you would come and work with someone like me, or do your own work. If you come to some of these classes that I teach, you'll learn how to do the root work on your own. All right. So when we want to make these changes, it can be really tough in the beginning. But when you keep repeating the behavior and the mental side, the thought, right? And your brain starts to accept it as the new normal, that's when you start to see these shifts and these changes. Now, if something happens where it's like, okay, it's working, but I'm still feeling like, a couple of days last week, I did wake up late. Okay. That means you need to go in and you need to do some deeper root work. Okay. So repetition works because it creates strong connections in the brain. And the more we repeat something, the stronger these connections become. It's like a pathway in a forest, or like I say in a lot of my classes, I use this as a great example. It's like you're digging a new trench. Okay, you're digging a new pathway in the grooves of your brain. All right. You're used to going this way, but now you want to go this way. So over here is all overgrown and it's trees and grass and roots and stuff like that, right? And so you've been going this way, getting up at 7 a.m. every morning, knowing you got to be to work at 8, and you're always like 5-10 minutes late, and you get written up a lot, and you have to be pulled into the office a lot, and you might lose your good $200,000 a year job. Okay. And you just don't want to do that anymore. So we have to start to form new neural pathways in the brain. And the way you do that is through mental and emotional reconditioning in conjunction with physical output. Physical output, setting your alarm a little bit earlier, going to bed earlier, okay? Getting out of the bed, going straight into the shower, okay? Setting a timer. I'm in the shower for 15 minutes. I'm not going to just stand there and I look up, I've been in the shower for 45 minutes, okay? That's the physical output. It's a difference between physical output versus internal reconditioning. Big difference, all right? So when you continuously do this, you begin to form these new habits, these healthier habits. And again, pretty soon it becomes like your normal behavior. So this is why people practice things like sports, um, because they use like positive affirmations daily. If you look at the Olympians, right? Look at these people can do amazing things with their body. Amazing. You know about 95% of what they do is mental. If you listen to their interviews, I did a lot of mental work. I heard that over and over and over again. I did a lot of mental work, It was a lot of mental work that I had to do. I had to do a lot of mindset work. I had to do a lot of mind shifting and things like that, and shifting my perspective about things. I heard that over and over and over again during the Olympics when they were interviewing the Olympians after they won something, or, did a heptathlon show. I didn't even know that was a thing. I was like, this woman learned how to do 7 different sports, and she's good at all of them. Like, what? You know how much mental agility you have to uh master to do something like that? That is all mental. And then the body follows. Okay. So these people, they're training their brain to make these actions or their thoughts a regular part of their life. So this is where a lot of people get stuck. Okay, they get stuck, okay, I don't know why this isn't working for me. How come it's not working? It's not working. It's not working. It's because you're trying to put out too much physical output before you're doing the internal mental work. You haven't yet reshaped and reset your brain. So let's understand on a deeper level, since everybody wants to talk about, reconditioning. I'm going to show you all or tell you all what is exactly happening in your physical human brain when you practice the law of repetition. That's what we are learning today. Okay. When we practice repetition, our brain goes through a lot of different changes, very important changes. If you're interested in learning more about the brain, I highly recommend this book here. Okay. The Human Brain Book by Rita Carter. Very good book. I have several books about the brain and some classes that I've been taking on the brain too, so highly recommend you doing that to get yourself more well-versed. If you're real serious about learning this stuff, practicing it, and maybe even teaching it yourself, take some classes, practice it on yourself, get yourself a group of people, practice it on them. You know what I mean? Like really get into this stuff if you're interested in getting into it. Okay, so our brain goes through a lot of different changes that help us learn new skills, right? Build habits, change the way we think, change our bodies. You can change your body with your mind. You can do that. I did. Okay. So the changes are mostly related to how the brain's neurons or nerve cells connect and communicate with each other. Okay. Y'all go ahead and share this video, tag your friends, anybody who you think might be interested in this stuff, go ahead and tag them. All right. So the first thing, we already kind of talked about this. We talked about building and strengthening new neural pathways. So the brain is made up of all these billions of neurons and they communicate with each other. They talk back and forth. Okay. And they do this through connections called synapses. So when we repeat a thought or an action over and over again, those connections become between the neurons. The connections are involved in those thoughts and those actions becoming stronger. So this is building up the plasticity, all right? And we call that synaptic plasticity. So the more you repeat something, the easier and faster it becomes to do it because these neural pathways become more efficient. Remember, I talked about how we dig the trench and we're creating new grooves in the brain. Well, this is how it happens. Okay. So it's like walking on a path in a forest. And the more you walk on it, the clearer and the easier it becomes to follow, right? Now you just kind of know your way through it. There's several trails that I take when I go hiking in Griffith Park. And I've been up there so many times. I'm up there like 2 or 3 times a week. So certain trails, I just know I could do it with my eyes closed without falling off the side of it. Okay. So that your brain it works the same way. The more you send that information, those signals through those neural pathways, the deeper the grooves become and the more implanted that behavior is within you now. So now you're just doing it automatically. All right, so let's talk about myelin. So myelination, this is another thing that happens in the brain during repetition in the process of myelination. Okay, so myelin it's like this fatty substance that wraps around the axons. And the axon are these long parts of the neurons that send signals to other neurons. Okay, so myelin is this fatty stuff. It's like bacon that wraps around axons, right? So it's like a breadstick. Okay, so just imagine a breadstick wrapped in bacon fat, right? And fatty bacon that is connected to in between neurons. These are the long parts of the neurons that send signals to the other neurons. So let's just say this is a neuron, this is a neuron, these are the axons, and wrapped around it is the myelin, all right? And so information gets sent back and forth through those neurons, through the axons that are wrapped together with that fatty bacon, which is the myelin. So myelination helps signals travel faster and more efficiently between neurons. So when we repeat a practice, our brain, when we repeat something over and over again, our brain increases the myelination of the pathways involved, making the actions or thoughts quicker and more automatic. Okay? So that's what's going on within the neural pathway, right? We're building that synaptic plasticity, right? That the process is called synaptic plasticity, and we're building up the plasticity in the neurons when we are involving myelination, okay? The myelin, that fatty substance that keeps the axons together as the information is passing back and forth through neurons, okay? Repetition also plays a big role in habit forming, as we've already discussed, ad nauseum at this point. As we repeatedly perform an action, our brain starts to move this behavior from the conscious part of the brain, where we have to think about it, to the subconscious part, where it becomes automatic. This is how we use hypnosis. This is what we use hypnosis as a modality for the thought, the idea, I want to lose 50 pounds, right? The idea of that is like, yes, that's a good idea. I'm going to be healthier. I'm going to feel better about myself. I'm going to be able to fit into clothes that I want to fit into. It's going to boost my confidence. This is such a good idea for me to drop 50 pounds. Okay. That's easier said than done. All right. How many people do you know have been struggling with dropping 10 pounds for the past, 5-6 years? Okay. So what happens? What do we have to do? We have to get the conscious mind to start talking to the subconscious mind. And we have to get those two minds to agree that we're dropping 10 pounds. Okay. So repetition, repeating, getting up, working out every day, right? Repeating whatever subliminal you're listening to. I do tailored hypnosis tracks for my clients, ones who are coming in for weight loss, okay? And they have their own thing that they listen to every single day. It changes week by week. If you're going to go see a hypnotherapist for weight reduction, you're looking at anywhere between 2 to about 8 months, because weight loss is emotional. Okay, it's one of the longest issues that you will be working on, because it is so deeply, deeply emotional. It is hardly ever about the food unless you have some sort of health issue already, okay? Or your body produces or underproduces or overproduces a certain chemical or what have you, all right? But about 85% of the time, it is emotional, all right? And it's one of the longest times. It takes a longer period of time to drop weight, especially if you're trying to drop 25 pounds or more. Okay. So repetition over and over and over again, not only the physical output, but mainly what you're doing in the mind, getting the conscious and the subconscious mind to agree that we're releasing not feeling safe anymore, which made us hold on to the body weight in the first place, or we're healing the emotional or the emotions attached to the energy attached to the emotional trauma that we suffered when we went through some sort of sexual abuse, which caused the weight gain. Okay, because that happens too. So you're dealing with the internal program, as well as building up with repetition the new behavior to, maybe not have ice cream 5 days a week. Maybe don't have pizza every single weekend, because not only because it's unhealthy or what have you, whatever. And who's to say that it's not healthy, right? Because I know some people that eat whatever they want, whenever they want, and they are very, very healthy. Okay. So that lets you know that it is more mental than anything. Okay. but you have to put certain things, you have to do certain things and do certain practices repetitiously in order for the subconscious mind to accept it as a new behavior and turn it into an automatic behavior. So this happens in the basal ganglia. Okay, this is the part of the brain that's responsible for habit forming. So once a habit is formed, we can perform it without being too conscious about it or having to put too much effort behind it, right? So it frees up our brain to focus on other things. So listen, this is really important to pay attention to this. Hey, you all. Yes, please tag people and share if you're finding this interesting, okay? So this is really important. It is meant for you to master certain levels. It's meant for you to master things, okay? It is meant for you to master certain levels and problems and challenges in your life. Your brain wants you to. Your soul, i.e. subconscious, i.e. universe, wants you to master these things, okay? So I never want anyone to ever say that the universe is working against them, because that is not the truth. And I have heard people say, the universe is working against me. No, it's not. It's putting the pressure on you because it's time to release that thing that you're holding on so tight to, right? That's such a challenge. It's so hard for you to crack through. It's putting the press on you because it's saying, okay, if this isn't working, then let's switch and try something else. Or let's do more of that, less of this. It's trying to direct you into the flow so that you can find your space where you're like, oh, it's effortless now. Okay, I got that. On to the next one. Okay. Your brain, your body is so highly intelligent. It knows exactly what it needs. When we stop, and I just talked about this earlier today. I was on a live on Instagram with Stephanie. Hey, Stephanie, for the YWCA, and we were talking about why it's so important for us to check in with our body and just sit and be silent sometimes and just scan ourselves to find out what is ready to be released, right? What in my body where is there a clog, a kink, or a snag, right? A knot, okay? And if you take time to do that, your body is going to give you the feedback that you're looking for to help you break through certain things, okay? So your mind and your brain, the brain is the tangible thing, right? The mind is the intangible, okay? The mind is the output, is the brain is the physical, right? But the mind is the functionality of the brain. Make sense? Okay. So it wants us to free up space. Okay. It wants us to clean things up. So that's why when we're going through certain things and it feels like a heavy, heavy load and a heavy challenge, and it feels really difficult to break free of stuff, it wants us to it wants us to try new things. So maybe you have been, you know, meditating every single day, and you've been journaling every single day, and you've been, working out every single day, but it just seems like nothing I do is working. Nothing I do is working. It's urging you to, okay, let's try something over here. And every now and again, you might get a little spark, a new idea, or read a book, or somebody may post about something, and you're like, oh, I should try that, or you may see it in a video or something like that. That is your cue. That is your lead, so to speak. Hey, try this next. You're on the right track, but okay, you've done that. Great. Now let's try this over here. Okay, that makes sense. All right. Anybody else have, hey, y'all, what's up? Okay, so now let's talk about the neuroplasticity. All right. So overall, the brain's ability to change and adapt through repetition, right? That's known as neuroplasticity. I'll say it again. Your brain's ability to change and adapt through repetition is known as neuroplasticity. All right. It's it can be reshaped and remolded, right? That's it's plasticity. It's able to be formed. So nothing is permanent. You have the ability to shape and change anything in your life. Your body, the way you look, your relationships, your dating, your experiences in dating, right? What you crave to eat throughout the day, your money situation. If one way ain't working, you need to be open to other ways. You need to be open to other streams of income. You don't always have to only be in your lane. You can go to other places, but you got to put the work in, and you have got to study. And if it's something that you're serious about, you put yourself all the way in it. You don't just half-ass it. You put yourself in it. You don't have to be, just in one space all the time. Because if that one space hasn't really been moving for you, you have the right and the authority to try different avenues, okay? That is why your brain has the ability to change and adapt through repetition, okay? Okay, so this means that the brain is not fixed. It can change its structure. And this is weird. Am I still on? Can y'all still hear me? Okay. If you all can still hear me, please just put that in the chat because something strange just happened on my computer. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, thank you, Ron. So the brain is not fixed and it can change its structure and function based on our experiences and practices. Isn't that beautiful? It's not fixed. So you can do whatever you want to do. You could be 80 years old and decide, you know what, I want to go to school. I want to go to law school. Who says you can? Now, you may not be able to become a gymnast at that age, but if you've taken excellent care of your body and you're still flexible and you don't mind doing some backflips here and now and again, or you can at least do a split, then you can take some classes. You may not be able to compete in the Olympics, but you can take classes. You can do whatever you want. You really can. And you need to get into the mindset that you can do whatever you want. Why? I'm giving you the science behind why you can. Your expectation and your belief around it may limit you in some sort of way. Like if you're 80 years old and you're saying, oh, I want to become a gymnast, but I'm expecting to compete in the Olympics. I'm not saying that that cannot happen, depending on your physical well-being and also the age that they allow you to enter in, right? I'm not saying that can't happen. I'm just saying that could be a limitation for you. So when you enter into a new thing, you need to expect the best of the best, expect the best of the best, but sometimes you need to leave yourself open with the expectation because it may not end the way you think it's going to end. It may not show up the way you think it's going to show up. Okay? And that's what gets a lot of people tripped up. Instead of enjoying the journey, they're so busy trying to hurry up and get to the finish line. But the journey and the practice and the focus and the remaining present, that is what helps you get the results that are fitting for you, the results that are going to make you feel 10 times better than you could have ever felt if you had actually achieved your expectation. You might exceed your expectation when you allow yourself to just be on the journey, okay? Because the brain is not fixed. It can change its structure. It can change its structure, y'all, through neuroplasticity when you're practicing repetition. It can change its structure and function based on our experiences and practices. Based on our experiences and practices. So listen, Your experience and your practice determines how plastic, how far that plasticity will stretch. So if your experience is, I'm excited, you know that anything you put your mind to, you can do it and you can do it well, right? And your experience has been when I let go of the need for it to be a certain way, and I'm just in it and I'm just present and I'm just on the path and I'm just having fun. Whew, all kinds of magical stuff takes place, right? And then you practice that. So the only thing that limits the structure and the function and the change of your brain is your belief from past experiences and your level of practice. Do you understand what I'm saying? Repetition is a key driver of neuroplasticity. Repetition over and over again, over and over again. I have had some people come and do one session with me. And sometimes that's all they needed. You know why? Because they had already been in the activity of repetition. They just needed that session to push them over the edge. I've also had people who've only done a couple of sessions and then they're like, I don't know if it's working because, I don't know. It's just like stuff just hasn't really shifted that much. So I don't know. I think I'm going to just wait because they refuse to repeat. They don't want to keep doing it over and over and over again. Repetition is key, y'all. This is why you will hear highly successful people say, whatever you do, don't give up. Keep going. That's repetition. They call it persistence. What it is repetition. I get up every day and I do the same thing. I'm not doing the exact same thing, but I am repeating a process that gets me to a space where I want to be. Okay. I'm repeating my hypnosis. I'm repeating my spiritual practice. I do a physical spiritual practice, a ceremonial spiritual practice every single day. Every single day. Do you know why? Because what it does is it lifts me, it lifts whatever might have been weighing on my head while I was asleep, because things come to you while you're sleeping, right? Which is why I tell people you need to cleanse and clear your energy every single day, okay? So it instantly lifts off whatever has been on me. This is me practicing the repetition over and over and over and over again, okay? But doing that frees up my brain to focus on other things. I'm reading notes that I took. Do you understand how this is all feeding into each other? Your brain is freaking awesome. All right. So repetition is a key driver of neuroplasticity, allowing us to learn new skills, adapt to new situations, change old habits or thought patterns. All it's waiting on is for us to practice repetitively. That's it. When we practice repetition, repetitiously, right? The brain, it strengthens the connections between the neurons. It speeds up communication through the myelin or the myelation process. It forms habits by moving behaviors to the subconscious and making it automatic. You can do that a lot faster with hypnosis. So you can do your own, writing affirmations and stuff like that. You can do that on your own. You could do affirmations on your own, and then you can say, okay, well, after I do my affirmations, then I'm going to go walk for 45 minutes, and then I'm going to write my goals down. That could be something that you do all the time on your own, right? That may take you 2, 3, 4 years to get to your goal. A lot of people use hypnosis because it happens a lot faster for them. They're going to hit that they're going to start hitting their stride probably within a few months. Okay. Because they're going straight into the subconscious and reprogramming anything that could have been keeping them from hitting that stride faster. Okay. That's how hypnosis works. It goes straight into the subconscious, which is the emotional part of your mind. And it is the emotions from which we manifest. And it's from emotions in which we act and behave from. So once you get your emotions under control and you have reconditioned the way you respond to your emotional triggers, okay, and you've neutralized the emotional trigger, which happens energetically, which happens through the process of hypnosis, you can quickly overcome the resistance barriers that you are having to write your affirmations down every day and stick to this thing every single day and do this every single day for like the next couple of years so I can hurry up and get to where I want to go, right? But you can do it a lot faster with hypnosis. That's the only difference. You can choose to take the slower route, or you can say, let me speed this up a little bit. It is not a magic wand, but it is a lot faster than, having doing it the other way. Okay. Both ways work. Both ways highly effective. One's faster than the other. That's it. All right. So all of these things adapts through neuroplasticity. Okay. Again, when we practice repetition, our brain strengthens the connections between the neurons. Remember, we talked about that, right? It speeds up communication through myelination. Okay. Forms habits by moving behaviors to the subconscious and adapts through neuroplasticity. That is how repetition works with the brain. Now, all of this stuff makes it easier for us to perform repeated actions or hold to our repeated thoughts. All of this does this. And eventually it turns into a natural part of who you are. Okay, so let's talk real quick about, and I'm going to let you all go. Let's talk real quick about some things that you can do repetitiously to help you get there. We already talked about affirmations. Okay, affirmations are very, very powerful. However, you all know by now that if you have some sort of program that's working against the affirmation, it's going to cause some delays. Okay. It's going to cause some delays. If I'm saying every day, I'm beautiful, I'm sexy, I'm vibrant, I'm thin, I'm saying that every day. I'm writing that down every single day, right? However, the mental program, the blockage there is that I'm 250 pounds. I look in the mirror and I don't see beauty, right? I compare myself to other people. And that's the reality for me in my programming. So I can write these affirmations down all I want to, but if I don't fully embody and believe it, and there is a mental blockage or a program that has been installed in me since I was a kid that told me that I wasn't that pretty, that I wasn't, this or that, or I dated somebody that told me I was overweight, or I was around some people that laughed because I wore a certain outfit, that has been singed into my emotional memory. And if I don't do anything to clear, override, transmute that, I can write all the affirmations I want to. But you need to override the program that blocks the positive affirmation. You understand? Affirmations enhance. You need to do energy work to transform. You're not going to transform anything with affirmations. Affirmations enhance. You do that while you're going through the energetic transformation on the inside. Makes sense? Okay. Next thing is you can write in a journal. You can write your goals down. Writing your goals down every morning is so very, very helpful. It does subliminally send a message to the subconscious mind that you're doing these things. And what it does is it activates your inner executive. Okay. And the moment you start writing down the things that you're going to do for that day or for that month, then what happens is you find that you just start doing it. Okay. So writing your goals down every day is very, very helpful. It helps you stay focused on the good things, and it keeps your mind on what you want to achieve, especially if you do a to-do list. I'm a huge, huge fan and advocate of a to-do list. Okay. To-do list really help me stay uber laser focused on my day and the tasks that I need to complete. Okay. And I started doing it. It didn't start off like that, right? I had to do some hypnosis for me to, remove any doubts, worries, insecurities about my abilities, anything that if I felt like I wasn't enough or whatever, I didn't know enough or I wasn't ready for X, Y, and Z. I had to go in and I had to do some energetic clearing and doing and writing my goals every day and doing my to-do list. And pretty soon I started sticking to my full to-do list. Okay. Habit stacking. This is a really powerful one. So this is something that you need to do on a regular basis. So for example, reading every night. Okay. You can say, all right after I brush my teeth, I'm going to set my timer for 30 minutes and I'm going to turn everything off and I'm going to read this book. And you can do things like leave the book on your pillow, right? And when you pull your sheets back to get in the bed, after you've brushed your teeth and you turned everything off, you turn your little lamp on and you set your timer for 30 minutes and you read. That's habit stacking. Okay. So now washing the dishes, turning all the lights off, going in the bathroom and brushing your teeth is now automatically triggering the next habit, which is I'm getting ready to go read my book for 30 minutes. So the more you do this, the more, and this is the physical output, remember? This is the physical output. So it takes everything to form a habit, okay? You got to do the mental and energetic internal, the emotional and mental internal work, followed by some sort of writing. I highly recommend writing. Writing is very important. It is an ideomotor response. An ideomotor simply means a non-verbal automatic response in the physical body that comes directly from the subconscious mind, okay? It's like automatic writing. Think about what automatic writing is, and that is what an ideomotor response is. Ideomotor response also would be like divination, automatic writing, dowsing rods, things like that, the pendulum, okay? That's the science behind divination. That's a whole nother conversation. But anyways, hopefully this is helpful for you all. If this is helpful, please share the video. If it's helpful, share the video, okay? I'm getting ready to start something called mocktails and meditations. We're going to be doing this on Mondays. I think I'm just going to start it off on the third Monday of each month. I don't want to overload myself right now trying to do too many things at once, as I have a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. Outside of what I do in hypnotherapy and Be Magic and open door hypnosis. So I don't want to overload myself that way. But the best thing for you to do is to get on the email list, okay? Set your notifications for this page. So when I go live, when I post, you get notified, okay? Get on the email list. So when I send out an email, and make sure the email is going to your inbox, take it out of the spam folder. So when I send information out, you can get it. You will know what's going on. You'll know about the free offerings. You'll know about the paid offerings, okay? Speaking of paid offerings, Wednesday, August 24th, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are doing the occult laws of forgiveness class, okay? Very, very powerful class. It is Natural Mama's Church Forgiveness, okay? These are the occult laws of forgiveness, all right? So make sure you visit bemagicschool.org to check all of that out, all right? Otherwise, I will see you all in the next video. I thank you for your time and your energy. Making sure anybody have any questions. Nope, we're good to go. All righty. So I'm gonna sign off now and I will talk to y'all in the next video. Peace out.